I'm Julie Herman of Jaybird Quilts and Lazy Girl Designs, and welcome to the Great Gift Sew-Along. We wanted to get crafty with you as the holiday season approaches, so I've put together the best of our best patterns for you to make handcrafted gifts for your loved ones with ease and joy. We'll be making Perfect Pouches by Lazy Girl Designs, Rock Candy Table Topper by Jaybird Quilts, Sweetpea Pods by Lazy Girl Designs, and finishing up with Candy Dish Pillows by Jaybird Quilts. Welcome back to making Sweetpea Pods. Now that we have sewn in our zipper, we're going to finish up the pod for gifting. Sign up to receive the sew-along emails and worksheets at the link posted in the video description below. Let's get started. And now, there we go. There's our faux piping. Now go ahead and follow the directions in the pattern to cut off the excess zipper teeth. Gone ahead and trimmed my ends of my zipper teeth. And now, following the directions in the one zip video, I'm going to trim my excess teeth. Again, if you have not watched that video yet, I highly suggest you go back and watch that video. I go over all the basics of how the one zip process works. So we're going to go ahead and take the two ends of our project and our zipper pull. And this is a nice chance to audition it, decide if you're happy with your color. I'm going high contrast here today just to show you how this works. So just as I showed you in that video, we are going to put our zipper on about 4 or 5 teeth down, slide this in at an angle, just till you feel it hit the mechanism, and pull. And as you can see, I didn't get it exact on my first try. This side is, let me show you, that side is a little bit lower, and so you can see this. So that means take it off and try again. And that will happen sometimes. And there we go, much better. They're lined up there, they're lined up here. So I'm going to zip my project about halfway. Now that I have my pull on, I've gone ahead and done a little bit of stitching over my teeth here just to make sure that I don't pull my pull off. But if you do, you know how to get it back on. And I'm going to zip my project up about halfway. And we're now at step 3 in the pattern. And we are going to flip our project so that it is right sides in, wrong side out. So you should be looking at your lining on both sides. And it may have shifted and look like that. Do your best to keep them on top of each other. But if it's not perfect, I'll show you some tips to make that okay. And we're gonna kind of flatten it out here and pretend like these zippers are kissing down here and that we have a square, even though it's a little bit rounded down here. And what we want to do is we want to peel the zipper tape up, and we want to make sure that the zipper tape is lined up with the center there. So you want to make sure that it's not off that way, off this way, you know, off by a little bit. You want to do your best to have the zipper tape going straight to the point at the bottom. And then you can go ahead and take some sew tights or some pins and put them in place to hold the project exactly where you have it till you get back to the sewing machine. And I'm going to simply follow the pattern to stitch and then trim and zigzag. So one quick tip with doing our stitching here is that if you find that your lining is significantly off, what's most important here is that we're consistent. So take a 1/4 inch on both sides. If you need to take 3/8 of an inch, whatever you need to do, you just want to take the same seam allowance on both sides and you want to keep your project square. Now it's important that when we do this line of stitching that it crosses this line of stitching if possible at the zipper teeth. So if you're using coordinating thread, I suggest you take a marking pen, not permanent. I'm using a Sharpie just to show you, and make a cross or a mark where you're going to sew. It's best to use an erasable marker pen or something with disappearing ink. And then I'm going to simply stitch along the length here. I have not trimmed any of my extra zipper tape off at this point. I'm going to wait to do that until later in the project. And there we go. And you want to flip it over on the back and just make sure that you caught your lining. If you didn't, take a slightly more generous seam allowance. It's okay that it shifted a little bit here. I'm going to go ahead, trim and zigzag as directed in the pattern. When you fully unzip a sweet pea pouch, you can see the raw edges if it is empty. So zigzagging the raw edges just keeps everything nice and clean. You don't really see it when you look in it unless you are really looking deep into it, but it's still nice to have that clean finish. And now, following the pattern, I'm going to go ahead and mark the lines for my boxed corners. I suggest you do this with an erasable pen or a pencil. I am doing it with a Sharpie just so that you will be able to see it nice and clear. Again, I do not recommend that you do this with a Sharpie. I am just doing it with a Sharpie so that you will be able to see the marks when I head to the sewing machine. Once your marks are made, go ahead and fully unzip your project. Sometimes it's hard to push the zipper unless you get a hold of the pull, so just kind of stick your hand in there like that and push it as far to the point as you can. And then you are going to open it up like this. It kind of feels a little weird and unnatural, but you're going to pull it and open it like this so that it forms a rectangle. So this is going to be in the center, and I'm going to go ahead, and your lines that you just made should form a nice little triangle on either side. And you're only going to have the lines on one side. You only need them on one side. And you can go ahead and take a sew tight to hold everything in place. And I'm simply going to use a straight stitch to stitch across both of these corners to create these nice boxed corners. Almost did a zigzag there. Switch back to my straight stitch. When I'm doing something as small as this, I like to start on my project, then back stitch and come forward. If I start off my project, sometimes my presser foot does not like hopping up onto that big height. So I find it best to start on my project, do a little back stitch, and then forward. I like to end on it as well. And if you're worried about them being off, you can always adjust as needed, sew them slightly more generous or slightly smaller. You can move things around till you feel like you have them in the right place. Take my sew tight off. And if you want, before trimming them, you can flip it right side out just to kind of make sure that it's good, because you could always take your stitching out if it wasn't. That looks really good to me. So I'm going to go ahead, trim these off and zigzag them just as I did with these. Now that we have finished boxing our corners, our sweet pea pod is complete, and it's time to turn it right side out. So go ahead, stick your hand in, push out the corners, and push out the corners. Then you need to take your finger and push where the zipper tape comes together. That'll help you get the pull out of that tight corner. And then pinch, and you'll be able to pull. And you can zip it closed. If you feel like you need to press it in any way, you can go ahead and press down here. Sometimes it needs a gentle press, sometimes it doesn't. And now your Sweetpea Pod is complete. Fill it up and enjoy it. Thanks so much for joining us here today for the Sweetpea Pod Sew Along. I hope you have enjoyed the process of making one. I will warn you though, they're pretty addictive, so once you make one, you may very well want to make more than one. I have made so many that I've lost count. In our next video, we're going to go over the variations, how to add ribbon, use different zippers, different materials, so forth and so on. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comments below or in our community Facebook group. Thank you for tuning in today. If this video was helpful for you, please like it, share your comments with us, and click here to subscribe to this channel. Here are links to the other great gift sew along videos and some of my other videos you might like. Sign up to receive the sew along emails and worksheets at the link posted in the video description below. See you soon.